Hi, and welcome to an all-new Riders Lounge podcast. I'm your host for the show, Steve Sommerfeld, and this is an X Games review. We look at everything from best trick, quarter pipe, and best whip. So much went down there in Ventura last weekend. It's only been a couple of days ago, and I joined Clint Esposito for his YouTube. Well, we looked at it on YouTube with video. If you want to check out the video, exactly what we're talking about, check out his channel. If you just want to listen to audio only, you're in the right place. So without further ado, this is X Games Review 2024.
What's up, everybody? Clint Esposito here with the X Games 2024 Ventura review, as always, with my friend Steve Sommerfeld, who just saw me say 2022 for some reason when I originally tried to do that.
Coming to you from the past in 2022. I'm now going to join you 2 years on.
Come on back.
Things have changed. Come on back. Yeah, no.
Is it better or worse?
There's no electric bikes in 2022.
That's true. I guess that depends on which way you see that, whether it's better or worse.
I can tell you by the messages and the comments that I have seen.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I've got heaps of messages. Far out. It's been crazy.
Nobody writes me, Steve.
Those clips that I put up, man, they are blowing up pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I saw that as well. But you also tagged, did you tag the riders in it?
No. Those ones I just put you as a collaborator and one or two with FMX, whatever his name is, Motocross. And that was about it. But anyway, we won't worry about that. But it this year has definitely caused some controversy on day 1 and day 2. That is for sure.
Day 2 or 3?
Well, day 2 with the best trick, when we get to Adelberg and Jacko, who should have won. That turned out to be a controversy. I'll tell you why, because it sounds like you don't agree with it.
No, I don't know. I thought about if I was judging that. I sat there and tried to be like, okay. And that's a really hard call. That's a really, really, really hard call. I mean, let's get to it when we get to it. We're going to start off
in a minute, because it looks like you've got Tyler Bereman there, who is not in best trick.
No, we're going to go night by night, I guess. So we got pulled up first the highlights from night 1, which was best whip. So, this is just the finals. So our finals are just, I thought we had 4 people in the finals. We do.
We do, but I think X Games only put up the top 3.
Got it.
For this top 3 highlight clip. Tyler Bereman, huge racer, seat bounce, upside down whip, with PH there yelling at him at the start of the run up.
Yeah. PH was definitely a sight to be seen, I guess, or an attraction.
He was very vocal this week, from what I've seen. Julien Vanstippen, massive whip. Like, there's a reason why that dude has a gold medal. Same with Tyler Bereman.
And what I heard was he just switched to the Yamaha, and that's pretty impressive to be able to turn it up like that. Basically, I would say as big as he did last year. But of course, you got that guy right there, Patrick Evans, on the electric bike, which I assume is some of the controversy you were speaking of.
Oh, yeah. And that was the biggest whip we've ever seen at X Games, Patrick Evans. And that was only his last whip. How many attempts did they have in the final? Like 3 or 4 jumps, maybe?
I think it was less than the round before. Look at that.
And then he threw away the burnout, dropping some patches, hit some soft stuff, hit the dust, and threw it away. But anyway.
There wasn't very many in the finals. It was only like 2 to maybe 3.
Yeah, so I think his first whip was already probably the biggest, going in the opposite direction. Then he went turn down, which was probably the biggest turn down we've ever seen. And then that one there, that's the big dog, and that's what got him the gold medal.
So what's the controversy? Like, is it fair? Why is this thing flickering like this? It's like, is it fair that he's on an electric bike? Should it be? Whoo.
Oh, there is that turn down. That's well past 180.
And look at the correction, even like the body English, just to bring it back.
He's back to completely straight. That was the... Wait, that's going the opposite way. And then this is the big dog. So those three whips, all three whips there could have been best whip winners.
On their own.
On their own. All three could have won it.
Let's see it again.
And that's why this is like this is just easy to call. Patrick Evans easily won. And I think with that comes the controversy of, should electric bikes be allowed in the competition? What is the question behind their legitimacy? I don't have that question. From my side, you could turn up there with a CR500. You could turn up there with Levi's completely engineered, like completely rebuilt bike.
Right. What if
you can turn up with this electric bike?
What if somebody went there? Okay, that's a good discussion. If somebody went there and showed up on a full-on Shogun freestyle bike, which has a shorter wheelbase, is lighter, and they started turning whips around like that, would people bitch about it?
Exactly. You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. You would never say anything. It's just because it's something different. And let's face it, I think it's just people being mad about stuff going to electric.
That's it. That's what the issue is. It's now I'm not going to say the name, but there was somebody who did have a legitimate question, and I don't think he would be opposed to electric in any kind of form, but he was just like, is there a fairness aspect to it where the bike can make such a difference? And in my mind, I'm like, well, no, because Patrick he's pushed the limit on that whip that we've never seen before. He has then had to understand how the bike reacts, and to get it back from that point, he could easily crash his brains out.
Well,
We've also seen Josh Sheehan on that exact same bike, and Sheeny's ridden best whips before, but he's never done a whip that big. So, you know.
Well, and that was my point of bringing up how much body language there was just to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because my point is, it's not just like it was an easy whip. It's like he's still, even watching him come off of the lip. Oh, I'm trying to find it in the video. And put it back because I didn't want to run ads.
No, that's okay.
All right, I got it.
The skill that is needed to do the whip in the first place.
That's my point. Look, he's already, look how hard he has leaned into it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's still a guy that can whip a motorcycle. Would he have won on a 450? I don't know. But it is what it is. Any one of those guys could have. Julien rode 2 days on a Yamaha. He could have rode 2 days on one of these and gone there and done that. So
the other thing was, I think this is kind of maybe a further into the future discussion, but what if now everybody turns up next year on a Stark Varg? So it's like,
I mean, what
does
if
the competition look stupid? And then I'm like, well, who cares if that's the bike that gets the job done? Let's see it. Show us what it can do. Or, it's like 2 strokes, 4 strokes. Now it's electric bike. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, some guys will be happy to just rev the tits out of a 4-stroke. Some will be happy, like Jarryd McNeil can whip as good on a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a question to be answered, but a lot of people have decided there was.
Yeah, I saw somebody say on electric bike, so it doesn't count. And I'm like,
it's patented. No, what is it? It's patented as an electric bicycle. I'm like, well, a fucking electric bicycle made everyone look stupid.
yeah.
End of discussion.
Didn't we learn anything from talking shit to R. Willie when he was just a scooter rider, and now he's just smashes everybody on BMX too? And you're like, you guys just should have kept your mouth shut, and he wouldn't have played your game. But now,
that's it. You poke the fucking beehive too many times, you're gonna get stung. Everyone bitched and moaned about 4-strokes. And they're probably still the guys who ride a 4-stroke now bitching about electric bikes because they can ride a 250F easier than a 125. I'm just saying.
I agree. I mean, why does it have to? I want one of each. I want a 4-stroke, a 2-stroke, and an electric bike. I think it's all cool. I think, you know, and the fact that it's better for some things. I mean, I was talking to Derek Beckering because he's riding the fair up here, and he said he rode one. We were talking about them and, you know, just like electric bike versus 450s because I was actually there watching it. And he's like, they suck in the sand. He goes, any electric bike, as soon as you hit sand, I go, oh, because it's just like the electric bike acts like it's always in the lowest gear possible for whatever it is versus being able to click up 2 times and just like lug it through.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So it would be like, okay, if I can try get power through here, I'm going to do it as quick as I can. Whereas you're saying maybe go up 1 gear, lug your way through.
It's way faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mud, sand, everybody knows you gotta lug the thing. You can't spin it hard.
Yeah.
And that's how the electric stuff, even think about all the videos of the cyber trucks stuck in sand or mud or anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because they're direct, they're just like direct power. It doesn't like temper it. I was talking to those guys too last night, and I even said, if you have a gas van, it's terrible in mud and snow because it's like direct drive. If you have a diesel, there's that turbo lag. And any diesel truck I've had has been way better in like snow and mud because of that diesel lag or the turbo lag. Yeah. So it like takes a little bit to pull.
Yep. That makes sense. There's probably something you could do in the software to map it for that.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. Like, okay, then you're going to take another amount of time, months or whatever, to figure that out. Whatever, but then it's not going to be perfect all the time. So yeah, I don't see the controversy in it, but it certainly has created controversy.
No, and I think we're going to get to a point in this podcast where I think that the electric bike may have been to detriment.
Exactly.
So
good call.
All right,
so this is best trick because I see Harry Bink there.
That is right.
All right.
Best trick.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, just pause that for just 1 second. Sorry. There's one thing in best whip that probably also could be a little bit controversial, and that is the 4th place rider, Wyatt Fontenot. We didn't get to see it just now because he wasn't in the top 3, but it was a top 4 final.
Yeah.
I felt like when I watched it live, from the angles they showed us, Wyatt was on the podium, and I would nearly say second.
I kind of thought that as well, because all of his whips were for real, dude. Like,
they were all big. They were definitely on the podium. If he was there any other year, maybe just except Julien's big year, he would have won.
Maybe. Let's go back to text voting.
Oh, well, okay. Apart from those.
But my point is that we're in like a little bit of a similar scenario, but it's just with the powers that be instead of the general public.
Yeah.
You know, so I think
True.
that there's still a lot of, listen, and I like Tyler. I don't have anything against him. But I think he's a bigger name. So it's hard to, it's like when we were watching and then all of a sudden they did a Monster Energy athlete profile on Axel Hodges. Oh, I didn't see that. How weird that they would do a Monster Energy profile on probably one of the biggest Monster Energy athletes. That's really, I did not see that one coming.
Yeah. I know. And that's unfortunately the bias that humans will have, and you cannot eliminate it. So
no, that's Red Bull does it too.
Yup. And they're, I'm not going to say they're worse. I'm not going to say they're worse for it since I've got a logo right behind me. Not that I'm sponsored by them, but definitely get a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
that's the game. You know what I mean? like, it is what it is.
And that's where I get myself into trouble, is
calling that game,
on those tough calls. I kind of go with the unpopular opinion, or maybe it's the popular opinion, but unpopular to the powers to be, and then I get myself in trouble. But I'd rather be on the right side of history.
You know, I'm starting to think it's not worth it, Steve. I think we should just shut our mouths.
I think you're right. If I just
I've always said what you just said, and guess what? I don't think it's ever helped me. So I don't know. Maybe I should just keep my mouth shut.
That's it. I'd have a lot more money to redesign this studio and not do it myself.
Yeah, you may have
an unfinished studio.
You may have a Red Bull studio in your house right now if you would just keep your mouth shut.
That's it.
I know. That's the lesson we should all learn sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad we're learning something today.
You didn't know this was an educational podcast.
Speaking of educational, this dude right here, Harry Bink, he is a smart cookie, actually. You're not going to know it from this double backflip over the next gen.
Dude, did you see him open up on the second one? Like pretty hard for a double flip.
Yeah.
75
he
foot.
Opened up. He still came out of it like landing 30 degrees over rotated. Man.
Yeah.
If he wanted to, he could probably go 2.5 rotations on that ramp. By the way.
Is this the first double next gen double flip in competition? No, they were doing it at
No. They've done it before. Because he was doing like one-handed knacks on the next gen double flip.
At Nitro.
Coming into this competition, they did say, like Vicky was saying in there, that he was.
Oh yeah, he was banged up.
Coming in with like a torn, I don't know, muscles or something in the sternum, or
I think it was probably cartilage. Because I bruised cartilage in between my sternum and my solar plexus as well, and it was not any fun. So
now this is the big one, the Lazyboy front flip off the next gen ramp. That trick has been done before by the man we just saw, Harry Bink, but that was on the Moon Buddha cheetah ramp. This is the first time ever off a regular ramp. It's off the next gen, and Adelberg did it perfectly and with style.
I will say, I think it probably the front flip lends itself to doing like a good Lazyboy versus like, a backflip where the bike rotates away from you. But I think the issue is that look how hard he has to look back to get straight. And that's going to definitely screw with your rotation.
Oh, yeah, true. That's a good point. He was doing the hardest sit-up he'd ever do in his life.
Well, think about, remember they did the no-handers in Chiba, and he held his off way longer, was way bigger, but he didn't look up, so Jackson won because they're saying it's slowing the rotation down. Well, I mean, he definitely has to throw himself that way, which is going to fight your
Very, very
rotation.
true.
But
Yeah.
the next trick also is similar in that respect, I would say.
It was big though. I loved that one. We heard that there was going to be something big from Adelberg, and it was huge. It
Huge.
was done perfectly as well, which is exactly it's what we expect from Adelberg. I mean, you shouldn't always expect perfection, but this dude only brings it if he's 100%.
Dialed, dude.
Yeah.
Like that was about as smooth as you could land, period.
Yeah. Hey, that was as smooth as you could land a dead sailor upright, and he did it on a front flip with a lazy boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
So
96 points, and that was his first jump of the night.
yeah,
96, and he said that was good for me. His next jump was a one-handed heart, and
which
this
was also sick,
which was perfect. But when Jacko Strong was sitting in second position, and his last jump, last rider, he had to go for it. Front flip, jackhammer. And this was a really long wait. And I think this is probably what you were doing. This is what I did when I was laying in bed watching it. And I was like, man, what would I do now if I was a judge?
It's exactly
And
what I was saying.
And so my wife was sitting there. Rach was like, fuck, I don't know what you do. I'm like, Adelberg came with something new. He did it perfectly. It was stylish. Jacko has extended on something that is old, but he did it really good. And I would say the degree of difficulty probably is higher. And so as I'm laying in bed and we're watching this in live, like this is how fast it happened in real life pretty much. I was like, I think in my mind, I'm going to give it to Jacko. In my heart, I'm going to give it to Adelberg.
Yo, exactly the same, and only because I know Adelberg better.
Yeah.
So like I was like, oh, I hate this for Rob, but I think that so now what I was saying is the way that Rob has to push himself back, like fights the rotation. Well, now we all know that when you open up in any type of flip, it slows you down. Now look at it from the side, how far away he is from the motorcycle. So now imagine how much being open like that is going to slow down the rotation.
Yep, that's true.
Whereas Rob, let's say on a lazy boy, you could at least sit, and the way that the bike rotates, you're kind of waiting for it to get to you. Yeah. And everybody, disclaimer, I've never done either one of these, obviously, but I'm imagining in my head the rotation of it. I've never even done a front flip. I tried once into the pit, and it was terrible. I'm not even sure I got fully upside down. Like I just nose dived in. But my point is, I think just having to be that far away from your bike is going to mess with your rotation more than waiting for the bike to catch up to you. Although then once you go to sit back up, that's going to pull against your bike and your rotation as well. So
yeah,
that also is a big.
Yeah, that's the problem, because I think there's so much complexity to both of the tricks. It is very difficult to say unless you've done them. Unfortunately,
nobody's done both.
Not one other person in the world. Well, technically, Adelberg has done both.
He has done flip.
He's done the clipping and flip,
oh, okay.
But he's not a judge.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, not even one single judge in the world has done this. But I did hear Bilko was one of the judges, and he was the first guy in the world to do a jackhammer backflip at X Games, and I think he got a bronze or a silver, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like exactly the reason you just said, the degree of difficulty just has to go a little bit higher to Jacko. I could be wrong. I'd love to hear Adelberg's opinion on this, because he's done both now.
Adelberg?
Take out the bias.
I was going to say, what do you think he's going to say?
But take out that, but because we also know X Games rewards progression, So he might have been like, you know what? I could go jackhammer because it's harder, but I want to come with something new. And I'm going to put my focus on that because one, I want to do it for me. Two, it usually works better for X Games. I don't know.
I know. Definitely the progression aspect of it. I mean, this is basically like, remember, so you said Bilko was the first to do a cliffhanger flip at X, gets third. Then for the next like 5 years, Potter tries to do a big cliffhanger flip in best trick. And when he finally does, I think he did really well. I don't remember what he got, but I remember being like, how did he just get like silver with a jackhammer flip? And Bilko did that like 5 years ago, got bronze.
Yep. Now that's something we can talk about in a second after we're finished with these two in particular, because that was something that was brought up by, let's say, somebody in the industry of the other three riders in best trick.
Well, what I think happened in that time frame, Bilko initially did it, and I don't know what year it was, but my assumption would be that there was huge progression in those. Maybe it was like
was
the
06,
year.
I think.
Exactly. Was that the year Chuck did the varial or that Travis did the double flip? Yeah, exactly. So this is my point. There was heavy things came out on certain times where a trick that later down the road there wasn't as much progression or people crashed out of the finals. Now all of a sudden you have just a stable trick that's gotten you into third because 3 people didn't land.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah, that's a tough one.
But I do agree with this as much as I hate it for Rob because he seems to be the bridesmaid so much with gnarly stuff. But that is a perfect jackhammer. Like he's under rotated maybe a couple of degrees. You know what I mean? If you wanted to be picky about it. But I think I think a cliffhanger is so much harder than a lazy boy, unfortunately, for Rob.
Yeah, that's it. So
he knows it. Yep. Look at his face right there.
I think he
Watch
did.
his face. He knew it.
I think, yeah. It's a tough call. It really is a tough call, but I do feel like in my head, the right decision was made.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I was like, fuck, I wish Rob wins this because
yeah.
he brought something new. And that was, yeah, you know what? David Ronaldo had the same problem like 2 or 3 years ago when he came with that body varial that nobody knew what the hell he did, and he got second. And everyone's like, what the hell? Yeah, it happens. Sometimes you do come with something new, you've worked your ass off on it, and you get second.
Yeah. Yep.
Tough gig. So the thing that I was going to say that somebody from the industry brought up, you probably saw this message as well. They were talking about third place, Harry Bink, with a double backflip, got bronze. Now, they were like, well, why not Tucker? Because he brought a new trick, he brought innovation, and X Games is all about progression, and Javier Villegas came with progression. I didn't reply to that because I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up in the morning and see if that's either been deleted because it's wrong or somebody else has stood up, and somebody did, which was good. And I was like, hang on. The double backflip has been landed before. Since 06, Travis did it. Julien Vanstippen did it on a super kicker. So that trick is 18 years old. That's what he did. Harry did it off a neck, which not many guys have ever done before. So that beats the super kicker. Simple. Yep. Tucker did a one-handed Supercan Indy backflip, which he has done before, and David Ronaldo has done before for like a couple of years. And his other trick was a one-handed double can flip, which I freaking love. Yeah. But Tucker's been doing that again for like 2 or 3 years. So that is not progression, as this person is talking about. Javier did the Surfer to Tsunami.
They are off of the next gen ramp though. So if we're gonna reward Harry for doing it off next gen, we have to reward Javier and Taka as well.
And so then the question is, does the double backflip beat a one-hand super can
flip?
Indy? Yeah.
I think it was like a super knack.
Yeah.
One hand.
In
but
difficulty, I'm going double. Has to be more dangerous.
Here's also an unusual for Taka. He was not like zipped together, perfect form, locked. It was kind of a little bit squirrely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
for Taka.
True. Now, what if
Taka?
What if Taka did Taka perfection? Would that then beat Julien Vanstippen's super kicker double flip?
On the bigger ramp, if we're going X Games best trick, progression is scored high, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
tough call, isn't it?
So let's get to the next one. I know I saw this comment as well, and I saw who responded, who's never shied away from a good debate.
We're keeping shit fights out of this podcast. We're putting in the theme, but we're not putting in the people. And the next one was Javier Villegas with the surfer take off to tsunami backflip, ruler KOD backflip,
which
off the next gen.
Because he goes from the seat, gets into that thing while he's still pointed down. He's like fully KOD pointing down at the ground and then like rotates half of the way KOD and then gets back on.
Yeah. So
that's a hard one as well.
Yeah, because he has done that trick for a long time off a regular ramp. He did it off the next gen, which is going to be harder to get used to. And he only had a week of like knowing that he was even in the competition. So it's not like Javier turned up with preparation behind him. And I'm like, well, he's done that before. The trick itself has been done before by him and Mark Pignol. So again, we're not talking about pure progression right there. And then they're like, yeah, but what about the Indy? And I'm like, well, even the Indy is like an easier form of doing the full tsunami. Like everybody knows if you want to do a full ruler or a full KOD flip, it's easier to go Indy than to get the leg straight.
I agree with that. I say the first one should have been scored higher. I definitely think that an Indy, like you said, to coil your body up and roll it and point it and then coil all the way back in is way harder than to keep your legs bent and go like that and come back in. So I totally agree with that. I do have a hard, I'm like, that is older, but I think that's harder than what Taka did.
Yep.
So
that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Like who?
It's probably because you've got to hit the ramp to start with.
Standing on your seat.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're like, oh, so he and Marco Pignol have ever jumped a next gen seat standing
on this. Yeah,
that's still pretty friggin' progressive, if you ask
me.
That's
it. And Pignol only did it 3 weeks ago at Night of the Jumps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I gave him good scores for that because I was
nice.
That is gnarly.
Yeah, it is gnarly. Like, and you could see his ass was puckering, like getting that done when he did it. And
I was just thinking about, like, so if you want to kind of get technical, Taka detuned a trick that he does. If you're going to ask me, I've done a lot of super can, like let go stuff. Guess what? I sucked at rock solids. I was never good at rock solids. So it's like,
me too.
That's next. Yeah. And I could do seat solids, one hand on the bar. Yep. It was that extra step. So he basically eliminated that for himself. And it is different, but I think it's like it's a lesser step of a trick than what he's done before. Even if he was going both hands back, double grab is still, I would say, bigger than that.
But what about being off the side of the bike and, having the bike axis moving? Because it's a
Javier
lot
can
more
do that shit
technical.
too.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah, it was tough, put it that way. Like, I'm glad I was not judging best trick because all of those points, there are legitimate reasons for
Yeah.
it. But of what we just said of the bottom three, do they still beat Harry Bink's double flip off a next gen? That was the question.
That I don't know. I have a hard time. I do think, and maybe I'm biased, but I do think Javier is closest to Bink.
And he was in sixth.
Yeah, he got last. But because I think the difficulty of hitting the thing standing up, there's how many people have done seat stand or takeoffs? Libor?
Oh, well, total? Yeah.
Total, ever.
Yeah,
Did
Libor, Luke Ackerman.
Okay, there you go. There's the other. I was gonna say there was another European guy.
Yeah, Luke was all
Okay,
over it.
so
But Luke was 50,
ever.
For how good Luke is, he was 50-50 on that trick. They were the biggest you've ever seen, or he was crashing they were still the biggest you'd ever seen, but he crashed his brains out, or he landed them.
Exactly. So
true. Yeah, true.
I think was way underrated. And like I said, I'm trying to keep my bias out of it because I love Javier. He's one of my best friends. He's the reason you and I even know each other.
Well, that's it. Exactly. Hang on, I've got a wife here and a dog in the middle of a podcast. Yes, Whiskey, I'm here. Right, I'm in a podcast. We're busy right now. Oh, hang on.
Hello, Whiskey and Rachel.
Right, get out of here. We're being we're being very professional.
Very cute.
Now I have a new mascot.
That's it. I'm gonna bring Vern in here. We'll have a dog off.
No, not yet. She'll go crazy with another dog right now. Actually, she'll probably be fine with another dog. It'll be too many people. Where do I go on my camera?
There you go.
Sorry about that.
So I think Javier got gypped, and I'm trying to think about it realistically, and I've thought about it for a day now, and I still agree with that it's not just the fact that I like Javier. So I think that it's been around for a while, but not a lot of people do that. And there's a reason for that. I think you almost have to take that into there's progression, and then there's this trick's been done for 10 years and 3 people do it. Like when people start 360ing, right? You got to give 360s more credit. How many people double flip? Way more than 360.
That's it.
If somebody had come out and 3'd the next gen, if Luke came and 3-knacked the next gen.
Oh.
It's like old trick, but nobody's doing that. Nobody can do that.
Yeah. I think Bilko may have 3'd the next gen.
I don't doubt that.
Show, but
I'm sure.
Bilko is wild and
I was just
is
gonna
one
say
of the
that.
very few people in the world who actually understand the 360. Like,
exactly,
he actually has it in his head. It's not a huck. It's not a maybe this time I go. Well, he did have a lot of crashes in the old days. He definitely shares a lot of crash footage.
But he paid those dues to understand it, and him and Luke are the best 360ers. Period. Yeah. And you got to think, Luke is a big dude. Yeah. Bilko is not. Bilko's doing it with, you know what I mean?
Bilko has more.
I don't want to say finesse
muscles in his legs.
I don't want to say finesse because he's a little bit of a. Yeah. He yanks stuff, but he's consistent with it, and yeah. All right, let's get
very good point
through this next one so that I can go and do this other podcast.
You've got work to do, man. We can't be sitting here all
night. We're closing in. We got 9 minutes. All right. So that's the other one. Guillaume Navas was frigging sending it, dude.
This is quarter pipe, and his very first jump, he came out of the blocks. He was ready to go. I was
Yeah.
like, holy crap, this dude, he's not here to fuck around. Like, he is here to win this thing if he can.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know, a lot of times in these weird events, you don't expect the Europeans are like a little bit of a disadvantage sometimes. And I guess he's got a big course with a quarter pipe. I would imagine he has to.
He does. Yeah. So they've got the Yates compound, and he built that quarter pipe setup at home like a year and a half ago, maybe 2.
Dude,
and
did you see how close? See how close he lands to the landing?
Yeah, he was like one of those guys straight up and down.
Straight. So I think that helps you because now none of your momentum is going to transferring out. It's all going straight up. What happened they showed like a brief glimpse of.
They showed Axel for a split second, but I think there was a little bit of a glitch in the matrix. Guillaume Navas got 51 feet. Like, he overtook Axel Hodges, who was going at it ham. Now it's time for Colby Raha. He won the last 3 years. This year on the Stark Varg. And this is where things will get a little bit... maybe it brings the controversy back down just a tiny bit.
Yeah. So I do feel like he was rolling into the ramp a little bit slow. His run from the corner seemed like he could have charged it a teeny bit more. Let's see.
Whereas that's what we saw the last couple of years. Like, when he needed to win, he pinned it. Whereas this time it looked like he didn't go
and maybe he's just like 80 horsepower. I'm just going to jazz it on the ramp, and I think that'll be enough. Or is he just not quite as used to it? His style completely changed. Do you see how he's like up over the front up here?
Yeah, Vicky said that a few times during the telecast. And I actually went back and I watched some of the videos from last year and the year before, and she's absolutely right.
Yeah,
like
he was not over his bars like that.
Yeah, he was floating off of it, whereas now he is like hanging over the front of that wheel. Like, his helmet's past the fender.
Yeah.
So that tells me, which is also what she said, like, he was probably just not feeling it with the bike, just trying to figure out how that bike operates that high up in the air. It's a different feeling.
Okay.
And here's the thunder from down under, Corey Creed.
Yeah, he was dialed right from the opening round.
Yeah.
His first hit, he just sent it. He also is one of those guys that does not transfer across.
No.
He's just almost straight up, straight down. Here's the other thing, and they talked about it last year. Watch, he looks up, 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 and then finally when the bike starts to slow down, he looks back down. And I think that like Raha watch how as soon as he comes off of the ramp, he
was already kind of looking down, wasn't he?
Yeah, now look at he turned all that
away.
He turns all that momentum into spin instead of allowing it to carry him up and then try and look back down. So think about if he looked up. And look at their graphic. Yeah, their graphic sucks. They were all over the place with this graphic.
The graphic was tell me about it. And they were talking, that's what I wanted to say. They were talking about this graphic the whole time. I'm like, the cameraman is moving every single jump.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more technology behind it that I do not understand. But I'm like, if you want to go by that, at some point, like, he was getting very close with the wheels either above or below that line. Then I'm like, okay, is it because the transponder's in a different part, or it's in the same part of the bike, but where Colby's tilting the bike, it's not registering it at the same height?
So he needed his transponder on his rear axle.
Yeah, exactly.
Corey needed his, because we were talking about this. Corey needed his transponder on the lug of his front fork.
That's it. Very true. Very true.
But I think that one, they need to, if they're going to do this, they need a set camera that's just for the graphic. Come on, dummies. You can't have a moving camera and then run this stupid graphic on it, because just about every single time they've shown the graphic and somebody in the camera, it was way off. Because the first time they showed it, Colby, he goes and they showed the graphic and he's like way below him. And then all of a sudden they're like 49. And I was like, wait, what? That's not what that graphic showed.
Yeah. And I did see a lot of comments. I think it was during the event as it was happening. You can see the chat and they're like, yeah, but he's way under the line or he's way above the line. I'm like, yeah, guys, the line means nothing on this camera view.
Okay. Why? You know how when they do like half pipe for snowboards, and they used to do it for this, where they would exactly the big pole behind it, so you could like you do this for snowboarding, and then you don't put it for this, where the whole point is to go a certain height.
You'd have to have a full scaffolding set up to get it that high now. Like,
do what you got to do, X Games. Like, come on.
You need the Eiffel Tower in the background just to get the paint markings on it.
Okay, so then set your camera up better then, I guess. You know what I mean? And do your graphic better. I don't know what to tell you. You need a designated camera just for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to have to rush this here at the end. Sorry, everyone. But
so basically, in the end, I'd say Corey Creed and Guillaume Navas were like the two riders who just came out and looked the most comfortable. I'd say it was the best I've seen Guillaume Navas ride.
He looked amazing.
His bike looked on point. Like everything looked good. Same with Corey Creed. The bike just looked like it was doing the right thing, except that one time that he went the biggest.
Yeah.
You can see him like looking for that rear brake. I don't know if his foot came off more than he expected or he was G'ing out hard, but he was like trying to find that back brake pretty violently.
Yeah. And he ran the street bike back tire.
Oh, yeah. That was now before they even said it. I was like, as soon as he took off on the first jump, I'm like, that he's gone motard on this. And then they did bring it up during the thing that, yeah, he was running slicks. So this is another thing. Patrick Evans wins best whip on an e-bike. Do we see everybody turn up next year on e-bikes? I don't think so. But anyway, that's a question people had. This time, Corey Creed wins with slicks on his rear tire. Does everyone turn up next year with slicks on their rear tire? I don't think so. But
let's say they did. Who cares?
Thank you.
Are we upset about that?
No.
It's like stupid stuff. Like, what are we, you know?
Thank you. That's, I do like hearing, maybe we're in an echo chamber right now. And I was like, I noticed it and I was like, that was kind of smart thinking from Corey. I don't know if it actually makes that much difference. I'm guessing he's done a lot of testing that he knows it does, but I can't imagine Colby Raha turning up next year with running slick tires. But then he turned up on an electric bike, so what would I know?
Yeah, exactly. With slick tires. Oh my God.
People would have a meltdown, especially if those tires are made out of like 100% eco-friendly rubber materials.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what if they had green tires? All right, I got to get out of here. I think.
Yeah, you're running late. Sorry, pal.
I'm late now. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, off to your next podcast.
All good. Man. Fun times. I think it was a great X Games. You know, I think that I enjoyed watching it. Competition was good. What else can you ask for?
That's it. I was happy with that one. I was really looking forward to it, and it didn't disappoint. So that's the best part.
Exactly. All right. Thank you guys, and we will see you again very soon, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Catch you, buddy.